How can you make the right decisions? In today's video, I'm going to help you define what does right mean for you, a way to build confidence in your decision making, as well as a skill to help break down decisions to make it much easier to make those decisions. So first, you have to define what right means. And when you're defining what right means, you have to know what your end goal is in mind. The easiest ways to do this is to look at the 4 situations. So when we're making decisions in life, they're usually in line with goals or in line with an end outcome. And sometimes we don't even know what that end outcome is. So these 4 situations break that down for you. And the 4 situations are, if I gave you $100 million today, what would you do with it? What kind of life would you live? The second is, if I told you that I would pay you $100,000 for the rest of your life, all you have to do is be doing something that you love, what would you do? The third is, if I told you you had 3 years left to live, what would you do with that time? And the fourth and the final one is that if you were at your 100th birthday, what are some of the things you'd want to be talking about and hear others talking about? What is some of that legacy you'd want to hear? Because what that helps you do is it helps you narrow down your ideal life. And when you narrow down your ideal life, you can narrow down your ideal day, which then helps you make day-to-day decisions to create that ideal life and ideally create that ideal day so you live that day over and over and over every day for the rest of your life. So once you define which situation you'd want to be in and how to get there, then it's time to filter out that noise. So once you've defined, okay, this is what I want. I want to, for my last 3 years, I would want to be with my family. So I realized that I really value my family. And so you have to define, what do you want? Because it can be difficult to get to that conclusion that, yep, family is my priority. And the way you can do this is filtering out the noise from everybody else. Everybody's going to have an opinion about your life, but the thing is, you have to filter out their noise to truly live the life you want to live and choose what you want. And the best reframe that I can offer for you to help think about this is that if I were to tell you you're going to move 1,000 miles away from everybody you know and you're going to be remote, what kind of decisions would you make? And it'll make it much clearer to make those decisions. It can refine those for you. And the way I came to this conclusion is I thought when I was in Europe, I was just, not that I was acting different, but I didn't care as much because I knew no one around me. So that it made me realize that my environment generally predicts how much I would care. So how can I eliminate the opinions of others? And this mental reframe can help me eliminate the opinions of others. I just think about, okay, if I was in Europe right now, how would I act? What are the things I'd be, chasing and the goals I'd be chasing? Because then it gets rid of all these other opinions that I truly don't care about. Because your friends, your families, the status society, they'll all impose their opinion on you. And if you don't actively choose the life you want to live, you'll live in line with their opinions and you probably won't be very happy and you feel like you won't be making the most out of your life. And when you're defining what right means, you want to align those decisions with your goals and values. And that's why it's so crucial to filter out the noise and go through those 4 situations so you understand what you want, what you value. So what do you value? Is it family, fun, experiences, excellence, personal growth? I don't know what it is, but you have to find out what you define and what you value. So for me, what I value is excellence, personal growth, and family. Those are my 3 things in life that I want to crush. I want to make sure I live life to 100%. I make the most out of my time here, as well as I want to provide for my family and just do cool stuff because my time is limited here. So you have to define, what do you value and what do you want to accomplish within those values? And that it can make it a lot easier to get a litmus test for the decisions you are making. So how do you develop decision-making confidence? Now that you define what you want, it's time to get confidence in that decision-making to continue to reinforce what you want. And the way you could do this is to set decision deadlines. It creates confidence by setting a deadline like, yep, by the end of this week, I'm going to choose this. Or by the end of the day, I'm going to choose this. Or for me, I used to be so bad at making decisions, I couldn't choose if I wanted to eat M&Ms or Skittles. And so what I had to do is be like, okay, I got 2 minutes to choose, boom, choosing. And then I just move on. And it's the same thing with bigger decisions in my life as well. I had the decisions between go to master school or be a coach. A lot bigger decision that has a much more bigger implication on my life. So what I had to do is just set a deadline for the week or the month or whatever it was. And I'd be like, okay, yep, I'm going to commit to coaching. I'm going to burn the boat of going to master school. So I'm locked in with this coaching stuff and there's no way out of it. And so it creates action and forces me to do that because I'm like, yep, master school, not even mine. I'm only focused on this coaching, and it creates action of forcing it to work because that is the road that I'm on, and forcing the decision. It reduces your second guessing. So now that I'm committed to coaching, I don't second guess myself. It's like, yep, this is the path I'm on. Don't be wrong, there's still some self-doubt, but I'm much more committed to it rather than always thinking about which one I'm going to do and always second guessing that decision. As well as everybody's going to make bad choices. And I truly believe that successful people and unsuccessful people at the beginning usually make about the same amount of bad decisions. But what separates the two is how they react to those decisions. Someone who is unsuccessful may make a poor decision and their life's ruined as a result. You know, they get a DUI, which is obviously terrible. But you've got Alex Hormozi. He has gotten a DUI before, and then you look at him now. He has like a $250 million net worth or something like that. So it's crazy that he made that poor decision of drinking and driving, got the DUI, but instead of letting it ruin his life, he used it as fuel to then be that much more successful. So everybody makes the same amount of bad decisions, but it's truly your reaction to it. And that reaction is a decision in and of itself. And another way you could develop confidence within your decision-making skills is to use these few action tools that I'm going to give you. The 10-10-10 rule is one of my favorites. When you are thinking about making a decision, ask yourself, how will you feel in 10 minutes? How will you feel in 10 months? And how will you feel in 10 years? Because the cool thing about this is it promotes long-term thinking, which usually when we think in a long-term frame, we make better decisions. So for example, let's say you're out drinking and you're like, okay, I just want to drive home. And then you use that 10-10-10 rule. You're like, in 10 minutes, I might feel okay, but because I saved $20 on an Uber. But in 10 months, I might be really pissed off because I have $10,000 in debt because of my DUI. And in 10 years, I might even be more frustrated because this DUI prevents me from getting X, Y, or Z license. Or, you know, I'm $10,000 behind in debt, and that created the opportunity cost of me losing out on millions because I wasn't able to use that $10,000 to start my business and gain more capital or whatever it is. So that 10-10-10 rule can be really helpful. Also, another question you can ask yourself just really quick before you make a decision is, does this decision feel right emotionally and logically? Because then it covers both bases. Okay, logically, you know, it feels good for me not to go to master's school because I am gonna, you know, I'm not gonna waste 3 years, not gonna get into debt, whatever. That's the logical piece. But the emotional piece is, okay, I still wanna really help those people and make an impact in those people's lives. Emotionally, does that feel right? Yes, it does, because as a coach, I can do very similar things. So for me, it was just a quick thing, like, okay, does this feel logically right, and does this feel emotionally right? And that has been a really helpful frame for me. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, I said that I'm going to help you with a skill that's going to help you make better decisions. And the way I do this is break down in my decisions to make it much easier and not as impactful. So I'll walk you through an example. What I mean by this is that when I was setting up my email system, so it's going to be my main way of client acquisition, is how am I going to do this? That's a pretty big decision to commit to, you know, sourcing the leads solely for email and then sending out the emails and doing all those things, putting all that energy into building this system. That's a huge decision, but how can I break it down into smaller chunks about how I'm going to do this? Well, I could break down, okay, how am I going to source my leads? That is a decision. Okay, how am I going to send the emails? At what volume? At what frequency? What is the copy going to say? What is the subject line going to say? So I broke all these things down into small decisions. Don't get me wrong, I was following a system within a course, but there's still a lot of decisions related to it with leads, offers, all that good stuff. So I had to think about, how was I going to break this down and how was I going to do it? And it made it a lot easier for me to make these decisions. Like, okay, I'm going to source the leads from LinkedIn, I'm going to gather their emails, and it's going to be parents of the kids I want to help. Okay, easy, got that. Now, okay, I'm gonna move to the body copy. So instead of just thinking, yeah, I have this huge email system, yeah, am I gonna do it or am I not? I started with, how would I do this? I just walked myself through it. How would I do each point in this email system to make it successful, to make that big decision of, yes, this is gonna be my main client acquisition system. So I used small decision making to then chunk it up to a bigger decision that made me a successful client acquisition system. Don't get me wrong, I'm still working at it, but it's something that I think will be fruitful once I get it rolling. And so those small actions built me momentum, and it helped me understand client acquisition in a much better way, because I was able to look at each small thing, make a decision related to that, be like, okay, I feel pretty confident about the system that I've created because I've made small decisions along the way. So what you can do is just break down, instead of having this huge goal of like starting a business, for example, what business should you start? That's a huge decision. What you could do is you could ask yourself, okay, what problem do I want to solve? That's a much smaller thing in a much bigger area of thing. Don't get me wrong, the problem you're going to solve directly contributes to your business you're going to do. There's a lot of other things in business, like your sales process, your copywriting, your marketing, your product, your offer, all of those things, but it can start from just what problem do you want to solve, and then you can go from there on how you want to solve that problem. So that is what I mean by breaking decisions down, and it can make it a lot easier and less daunting to make that decision. And finally, what you want to do is you want to reflect and celebrate progress. And what I want you to do with this is to journal. This is what I did, and this is what helped me, is I asked myself every day, what did I do right? what did I do wrong, and what advice would my 80-year-old self give me? Because what did I do right allows me to build momentum on what I did right. Where did I make good decisions today? What I did wrong allows me to understand where do I need to make better decisions, and what advice would my 80-year-old self gives me allows me to take myself out of my current situation, remove the emotion from it, and think of it from a frame of someone who knows me completely and knows what I want. So it's much easier for me to just take myself out of there and be like, okay, what would my 80-year-old self tell me in this moment today? And it's helped me keep going for a much longer time and really be honest with myself about how I'm doing. With that being said, that's how you can make right decisions. Please like, comment, and subscribe, but most importantly, comment, because if you comment what you liked most about this video or what else you want to see in the channel, I will listen to those comments and I will make more of that. See you guys in the next one.